At the Bronze, Jesse shows up to follow up on his human interest in Cordelia. While vampires are later characterized as essentially humans turned sociopathic and given powers, Buffy Season 1 has it as more of a demonic possession that perverts the character of the human host. The demon walking around in Jesse's skin has confidence and a predatory bad boy quality that makes Cordelia attracted to him now, which is similar to early Angel. Bad boys do have a certain appeal, and as we're more worried about Cordelia being in the presence of a vampire than we're appreciative of Jesse finally getting that dance, I don't think there's anything sexist here. It's far from a Bella Edward moment. I'm saying Twilight is less feminist than Buffy. The universe can heal. The other vampires come in and take over the Bronze, starting the harvest. The Scoobies show up late. Giles warns Xander to not think of Jesse as his friend, only as a demon. Buffy approaches Luke and has a showdown with him, while Giles and Willow help people escape and end up fighting Darla, and Xander confronts Jesse to save Cordelia. Now I have a theory about these three vampires. I think they're supposed to represent evil counterparts of the main three protagonists. That explains why Luke is so strong, why Darla is so meek, and why Jesse is practically identical to early Xander. It's a little hard to conceptualize, as Willow and Xander do have literal vampire counterparts in another reality, and we've at least seen Buffy take the appearance of a vampire, but I think that's what they were going for in Welcome to the Hellmouth and the Harvest. In the audio commentary, Joss says that Willow was supposed to kill Darla with holy water, but they decided to keep her around for Season 1, Episode 7, Angel, where she could be a better antagonist to Angel than a random vampire, so she escapes here. I think the main three were to face and kill opponents that matched them, thus blooding them to finish off the first story arc. With that in mind, it's interesting how each of them faces their opponent. Darla pins Giles to the ground. Willow shouts for her to back off but knows it won't work, so she immediately follows up with throwing holy water in Darla's face, where it burns like acid. In the original script, this kills her. In both versions, the girl who starts out completely meek ends up using aggressive action to save the life of the respected male advisor, in a kind of flip of the roles of Mina and Van Helsing and Dracula. Xander's confrontation of Jesse starts out similarly, but goes different places. Jesse has been seen grabbing at Cordelia, unhappy that he has to give her up to Luke, and he takes advantage of the fight to go after her in another overt metaphor for rape. Xander shows up to save the victimized woman like your stereotypical male hero, but Xander proves a lot more characteristically feminine. He threatens to stake Jesse if he doesn't back off, but he doesn't immediately follow up on it. His empathetic bond with the person Jesse once was keeps him from treating the vampire as an enemy, and he allows Jesse to stalk him as Xander tries to connect with his friend. This sets up Xander as the emotional core of the group. He struggles with gender roles at first because he feels like he has to be one way as a guy, but he eventually loosens up and allows Buffy to take the more traditionally masculine role, while he takes a traditionally feminine role. His strategy of reaching out to his friend doesn't work with Jesse, but it will work with Willow in Season 6, Episode 22, Grave, in a scene praised for its transgression of gender roles. It actually started back in the Harvest, but no one noticed it because he was still hung up on gender roles. Xander places the stake over Jesse's heart, in theory, but it's unclear if he has the strength to kill him. He doesn't get the chance either way, as a fleeing woman runs into Jesse and pushes him into the stake. Spoilers. This is actually very similar to the second part of the Firefly pilot episode Serenity, where Simon has a gun on the cop he needs to kill to save his sister, but he can't find the strength to do it, and the dominant male character Mal comes in and does it without thinking. Like with Simon, I see this scene as representing the way we muddle through life, sometimes getting by purely on luck, setting the stage for him having to deal with his issues relating to killing. Also, wow, Jesse is vamped and dusted in only the second episode.
The man's psychotic.
Joss is known as a serial killer of characters, and he likes trolling the audience. He liked the idea of putting Jesse in the title sequence and then killing him off in the second episode, after which playing a title sequence without Jesse, but they ultimately didn't have the money to make 2 title sequences. Though they did later. It's relevant to feminist analysis because Joss is often characterized as a misogynist for killing off many female characters, especially ones beloved by the audience. Actually though, he kills characters across the board and goes for shocking moments in general. The thing is that he's a feminist and makes most of his characters awesome women, so those are mostly the ones to get the axe by virtue of a disproportionate amount of women. He does kill male characters though, and Jesse is a significant example, setting up the tone of the show. Anything can happen. It's actually comparable to the first episode of Supernatural, in which the boy's mom and Sam's girlfriend are killed off to motivate them to hunt monsters. and at least they were mentioned again in subsequent episodes. One of the odd things about Jesse is that once he's dead, he's never mentioned again. Not once in the entire course of the show. Season 7, Episode 7, Conversations with Dead People, was supposed to have a segment where Xander sees a vision of Jesse, which was dropped because actor Eric Balfour didn't want to come back, making it the only episode of the show in which Xander is not present. But that makes 6 seasons of the show where no one even thinks to mention Jesse. The entire point of his character seems to be about Xander's emotions in the harvest, and nothing else. If you want to talk about Joss being a serial killer, his handling of Jesse seems like a good indicator of his character killing not being sexist. But hey, you probably forgot about Jesse too. Buffy deals with Luke in a way to show both her strength and wits. She fights him as roughly his equal in physical power, and she tricks him into dropping his guard by pretending she's letting in sunshine when it's actually a lamp in the middle of the night. She stakes him and calls him a moron. This is important for establishing Buffy's character. She's a woman with power, and she's not just a blonde bimbo given super strength. She's not good with schooling, but she's smart and someone to admire. This scene was actually taken from the film's screenplay, where Buffy would have displayed similar intelligence in taking down Amelin, before Donald Sutherland decided that she needed to be given permission by Lothos for just staking him. Anyway, a couple of vampires grab Xander immediately after Jesse is staked, making him the next dude in distress. Buffy kills Luke, causing the Master to let out a scream of "No!" Buffy scares away the remaining vampires just by glaring at them, freeing Xander. Angel observes this victory from the shadows.
She did it. I'll be damned.
As we'll see, Angel has the ability to fight and kill vampires, yet he does nothing here. He says he's afraid of vampires, or at least the Order of Aurelius, but he says it in such a snarky way that it's hard to believe him. He treats the Harvest adventure like it was a test of Buffy's abilities, not as a serious threat that would require intervention. We'll see the Watchers and agents of the powers that be treat the good guys in this manner, and have it be rightly treated as something enormously condescending and amoral. It's more early installment weirdness trying to depict Angel as this dreamy bad boy, while actually making him come off as a total jackass. There will come a time when Angel is the one being condescended to, and he'll fight the man to help the helpless. As it is now, it's bad writing making bad behavior look sexy when it shouldn't be regarded as such.
Who writes this stuff?
Battle's done, and we kind of won, so we sound our victory cheer.
The Scoobies gather to contemplate their sad victory. Yes, they killed Luke and kept the Master from escaping, but the vampires did claim several victims, including Jesse, and many are still out there. The Scoobies are now solidified as a group and are prepared to deal with the ongoing threat. But by the next day, they're the only ones who recognize the existence of vampires. People in Sunnydale are deeply stupid. Even people who witness the harvest sink into denial, and they believe the official story about a gang fight, including Cordelia, who spreads rumors about how Buffy was interacting with the gang like she was in a gang herself, further destroying her chances at popularity. But it's okay because she has good friendships now with Willow and Xander. Giles indicates the formula for the rest of the show. They live on the Hellmouth, the Master will try to rise again, all sorts of monsters will be drawn to the Hellmouth, Buffy and her friends will be the only thing standing between them and the total annihilation of the Earth, and Giles can't relate to the younger generation. The kids start chattering about Buffy's chances of getting expelled and walk off, while Giles looks away and says,
The Earth is doomed.
It sets the tone as 90s camp, honoring the kids and spoofing the pretentious horror genre, which, as I said, makes it attractive to the third wave when feminist subversion gets in there. Well, that's the harvest. Grrr, arg.